Assalamualaikum and very good morning everyone. Today I would like to talk about one of my most favorite book of all time called No Longer Human by Osamu Dazai. But before I start this review, I would like to introduce myself. My name is FATIHA binti Baharuddin and I'm from Smkmerotaibesar, TAWAU, Sabah. And my school code is XEA3064. No Longer Human by Osamu Dazai is a haunting and introspective novel that explores the life of Oba-Yozo, a man who feels essentially alienated from society. At an early age, Yozo wears a mask of clownish behavior, performing and making jokes in an attempt not to show his real self. Underneath the mask, however, he is held back by fear, insecurity, and the belief that he is in some way disqualified from being human. As the story goes on, Yozo's existence becomes more self-destructive. He turns to alcohol, drugs, and promiscuous relationship in a bid to fill the emptiness in his heart. His existence becomes one of the destitution and depression, and his several attempts at suicide attest to the level of shame and low self-esteem he battles. This novel is framed as a series of notebooks he left behind, raw fermented thought that let us have a close examination of the mind of a man who unraveling into fragments under the weight of alienations. Although No Longer Human is quite tight compared to some of the novels I typically read, I found it more engrossing than many longer novels. The way Yozo thinks and perceives the world is frighteningly real. There's gravity in his word, a resonating heaviness that's not theatrical but deeply human. But it's not an easy book in terms of language or form, but emotionally it can be harshly difficult and most often at the point when you least expect it. What is compelling about No Longer Human to me is that almost anyone can relate to Yozo in some way, whether they will ever admit it or not. He is shattered, imperfect, often pessimistic, and see himself as ashamed. His peers see him as crazy or insane, but beneath all of that, he has the same thought and feeling many of us secretly have, the fear of actually being seen, emptiness behind a smile, and that same quiet feeling of not belonging. No one should ever wish to be able to identify with Yozo. Of course, his thought and behavior are shaped by trauma and desperation, but his honesty, that bluntness which make him so credible, he is the darker side of human nature. The way people use drugs, empty escapism, or words to numb their pain. He lived in constant fear, never experienced true love or happiness, and talk about his outside emotion as projection, what he had called clownery. One of the novel's main lessons is the muted, often inconspicuous nature of alienation. Yozo is not just a pitiful or lost individual, but he is an emblem of people who go through their whole life pretending to be another in order to fit in. It is a sad reminder that the individuals who seem the most content are who are quietly miserable. So why do I recommend reading No Longer Human? Because it's real, it's raw. It does not try to offer an easy answer or sentimentalize suffering. Instead, it challenges us to endure the unease, to struggle more deeply with the issue of what it is to be human. It's not a book to leave you with feeling warm or lifted up, but it is a book that stays with you long after you put it down. Whether or not you can relate to Yozo, his story lingers. So that's why I recommend this book to everyone. I will rate this book 4.5 out of 5 stars just because I feel bittersweet about the ending. Thank you everyone and happy reading. Goodbye.